The Goat House is back with the sleeper free agents you need to know heading into free agency with landing spots. There's two other versions of this video that we did covering expensive free agents with landing spots and some other top tier free agents. I love doing these videos. Let's jump into this one. Mekhi Becton's stock is soaring right now after a stellar season switching to guard and playing very well for the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. I think people are well aware his stock's going up. He's a better player now, but I also think people are sleeping on him because they're kind of a little stubborn. Like, this is the same Mekhi Becton that was a bust or couldn't stay healthy. And then a lot of people say, well, anyone could play well with that Eagles offensive line, so how will he be elsewhere? But remember, when he struggled, he was at tackle. He switched to guard. He was also a raw prospect, a high upside prospect out of Louisville. So it kind of makes sense that he's just getting going now. So very good run blocking. So looking at the fits, I definitely think he can end up on the Eagles again. So when I list the best fits, it's teams other than the current team. I definitely think the Philadelphia Eagles get him back. They definitely want him back for the right price. Maybe he stays a little cheaper, trying to win more Super Bowls. Definitely a possibility. But looking at the other fits, long list of teams that need a right guard. We narrowed down to the right guard needy teams. But then I had to narrow it down a little bit more. I can't just list every single team here. But I take a look at the teams that like to run the ball a bit, and they want to run the ball more effectively. The Saints, with Kellen Moore, his offensive coordinator. They got to dig themselves a little bit of a hole cap-wise, but they'll do that, and they'll try to make a big move here or there, and this could be that one. Seattle Seahawks, they want to run the ball more effectively. They bring in Clint Kubiak. His offense is based on, West Coast outside zone running, open up the play action pass. They need guards pretty badly. The Bears bring in Ben Johnson. He values running the football. They need a guard. And I like those three the best. But then the Texans and the Chargers as well, who do want to run the ball. They could use a right guard. And there's other teams like the Bengals, that I could totally see. Multiple teams, Titans. But I look for the teams that really are valuing running the ball or running the ball more effectively. So Becton, watch for him to get paid more than you think and be one of the big-time guards in free agency. Everyone after guards, we saw surprisingly how much they got paid last offseason. Get ready for Trey Smith, Mekhi Becton, Will Fries, these guys this year. Paulson, Adebo, the corner, young corner of the Saints, a big-time playmaker. He was looking really solid for the Saints. He is coming off a broken femur, which is pretty damn tough, but he's only 25 years old. He was really good in college. He's been a really solid playmaker in the NFL. Experience in man coverage, has some upside in zone, but the Saints do run a lot of man. He's going to get paid more than people think. I think people are kind of sleeping on him because we haven't seen a ton of him compared to the other free agent corners like DJ Reed, Charvarius Ward, Carlton Davis, and he's coming off the injury, but the Saints very well probably want him back. But, man, there's two teams that really stand out more than the rest. The Denver Broncos, if they feel like they need another corner with Patrick Surtain, I think they do. As the year went on, the defense kind of declined a little bit. It wasn't the same at the end of the year as early in the year. I think it was due to the cornerback play, the secondary, other than Patrick Surtain, the best defensive player in football this year, and the Sean Payton connection. Sean Payton's last year with the Saints was the year they drafted and brought in Paulson, Adebo. So it's probably, and they have some spending money. It's probably going to depend on how much it costs, though, because they already have a lot of money invested at the other corner spot. But the Raiders as well, they have some ex-Saints guys on the staff. Joe Wood stands out, but multiple guys there. They're looking for a corner. I think Paulson Adebo would fit Patrick Graham's defense as well. I would look, and there could be other teams. That's why we have other teams and even more teams than that. Could be interested in it as well. But I would look for the Broncos, Raiders, and maybe his current team, the Saints, to battle it out for a guy like Adebo, who I think is a bigger name than people think, and he's got a lot of potential, a bright, bright future. He's got a little more youth than the other free agent corners. Again, DJ Reed's at the top for sure. You have Charvarius Ward, Carlton Davis. Then you kind of get down the line to Byron Murphy, who plays in the slot a little bit. Rasul Douglas is a little up there in age, but not super old. So it's an interesting corner group here. This guy is unique compared to the rest. But also the Lions like to run a lot of man coverage. Adebo, very sound in that. This would kind of be an option if they don't get Carlton Davis. And the Jets, I think DJ Reed, they maybe let walk. I don't know if they want to pay him what he's going to get. They go like a tier down. They look at Charvarius Ward and Paulson Adebo, Aaron Glenn, Steve Wilkes. These guys are going to run a lot of man coverage. Adebo has experience in that. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, we're looking for someone young to pair with Joey Porter Jr., and they'll mix it up between man and zone, but they usually like the guys that have experience in man. And they kind of coach up the zone. But Adebo, a bigger name than people are saying right now. Another sleeper corner with some upside, Asante Samuel Jr. had such a good career at Florida State. He came in and it was some little durability things that popped up here and there, but when he's on the field, he looks pretty solid. Very solid zone coverage corner. Chargers very well can bring him back. They like some of the young guys they have. They might go big or go draft rather than signing Samuel back, but he could be a little on the cheaper side compared to like a Adebo. But I love the fit with the Carolina Panthers. I would actually watch for currently my prediction for Asante Samuel Jr. Not going to be overly expensive. The Panthers need a lot of things, so they can't really spend all their free agency in one spot. Doesn't mean they can't spend big. They're going to try to get a guy like T. Higgins. Maybe they go for big corners, but they need corners, they need defensive linemen, they need edge rushers, might need a linebacker, might need a safety. But they're on the rise for sure. They have a lot of future cap, but this just really makes sense as a scheme fit. Evero zone coverage defense. You'll see some cover 4, cover 3 in that. Perfect for Asante Samuel Jr., especially with the cover 4. Like the Packers as well. They end up running a lot more zone than I expected. They had a new defensive coordinator last year, so it was a little up in the air, but I think they're going to run more man. But they ran a lot more zone, so I could see them going for like a zone playmaking corner like Asante Samuel Jr., and then so those two teams, the Panthers stand out big time. The Colts definitely could use a corner. The Steelers as well. I feel like the Steelers, they mix it up man and zone, but it's like every other year it feels like. Like one year they're more heavy man, the next year they're more heavy zone. The wave of the NFL right now is zone. If you look across the NFL, there's more zone being run every single year over the last couple of years. And then the Eagles, in the Super Bowl, they ran a lot of zone in general, but in the Super Bowl, ran zone over 90% of snaps. So that's kind of the new way of the NFL. So Steelers could be gearing that way, going for more of a zone corner. And then the Buffalo Bills have always been a heavy zone team. They were pretty stubborn with only cover 2. They're starting to, then since Leslie Frazier is gone, they're starting to kind of open things up, do a little bit more, a lot more cover 3, sprinkle a little man in there. They're not going to be able to spend big money, so this would make sense as well. That's a really good fit the more I talk about it. But the Panthers just scheme fit, need at corner, younger guy that kind of fits how they're growing. The only knock is some durability concerns, and J.C. Horn, who's a star, if he's healthy, has some durability concerns, so that's kind of the only negative there. But the Panthers really stand out with this fit here. But so do other teams, like I said. Azeez Ojulari, the edge rusher of the Giants, was a high-end rotational guy, but had to start quite a few games last year, and he was pretty productive right off the rip earlier in the year when he was starting some games, and he's always had some upside. We know he's always had that ability to get after the quarterback. He's a pass rush specialist. He was that at Georgia as well. He was a huge name at the trade deadline. If you remember, we were talking about for a fact, there were teams calling, and the Giants didn't want to give him up. I think teams were probably offering a 6th-round pick, maybe a 5th. It's hard to imagine the Giants were turning down a 5th, but it's possible. I think teams were offering a 6th, maybe a 6th and something else. That's a little low ball, but again, the Giants might lose. Maybe they bring him back, though. We'll see. But teams will be interested. They didn't want to give up a premium pick because they knew maybe they can get him in free agency. That's how you do it. You don't panic and get a guy super early that's going to be a free agent. But the teams that I know were interested at the trade deadline, Cincinnati Bengals, it is a fit with their defense, especially still. I know they switched defensive coordinators. It's still a fit under Al Golden. They may need another pass rusher. That front office will like Azeez Ojulari. They were interested, the Bengals, at the deadline. The Falcons were also interested. They did switch defensive coordinators. I thought they were a better fit then rather than now, but it's still certainly possible. And I thought even though I knew for a fact the Bengals and the Falcons were interested at the deadline, I thought it made sense that the Cardinals would be fit because interested because it's a fit. They have his brother there. They're looking for a pass rusher. They end up trading for Baron Browning. I think Ojulari's a little bit better. Ojulari does have some durability, so does Browning, but Ojulari's a little better. So I'd watch for the Cardinals. Still need that pass rusher. The Bucs definitely fits their 3-4 scheme for sure. And the Patriots looking for, again, more. They're a little bit of a multiple scheme. They got Keon White on the other side, more of the physical guy, and they need a guy like this on the opposite side for the future, so that would make some sense. And Ojulari is a guy with experience, but also kind of can fit the retooling, like if you're further along in the rebuild process, kind of like where the Patriots are. They're not stage 1 of rebuild. So that's the good thing about Azeez Ojulari, who, again, another guy that since the deadline is passed, his stock has kind of gone down a little bit, but he could end up getting a little bit more money than people think. But he's either going to be a starter and help a team for a team that really, really needs pass rush help, or he's going to be a very, very high-end rotational pass down specialist, like the third pass rusher on a team, and that would be a pretty damn good pass rush group there. So we'll see where he lands. Jamien Sherwood of the New York Jets, coming out of college, you're wondering if this guy's going to play safety or play linebacker. He's kind of that new school type linebacker, and he really was very, very productive for the Jets last year. Rangy, athletic, coverage skills obviously stand out a lot, but yeah, I mean, the downhill guy that he can be, I feel like he still has upside as well. I love the movement skills, the athleticism. The Jets very well could want him back because the productivity and the new staff definitely could like him. I don't have as much of best fits here. It's not necessarily me saying he's not going to go anywhere else. All these guys can totally go somewhere I didn't list. These are just best fits. Typically, guys end up on one of the best fits, but it's more of just, in my opinion, like just looking at teams, how they run things, what they need, what makes sense. But I really think he's going to end up, I can narrow it down even more. I think he's going to end up on the Falcons or the 49ers, but the Bucs are in need of a linebacker. I think he would fit Todd Bowles' scheme very, very well. So I really like these three teams along with his current team, the New York Jets. But my prediction right now is the Falcons. We'll have our free agency predictions a little closer to the time. We do it every year. We typically get a bit of them right here. And I typically just based on fit, any connections, but the Falcons, Jeff Ulbrich is their new defense coordinator. He was the defense coordinator of the Jets last year and interim coach. Robert Saleh is now the defense coordinator of the 49ers. He was the head coach of the Jets and obviously a defensive mind. So they're very familiar with Jamien Sherwood. I think Ulbrich's really going to like him. I think he's going to need... The Falcons have linebackers. They need better fit linebackers. They just need to get better there in general. They're going to grab one. Makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense there. So a sneaky free agent, maybe gets paid a little bit more than you think. A lot of upside as he continues to get more reps. Look for those fits that kind of include some connections there. Elijah Moore, the slot receiver of the Cleveland Browns, and fairly solid when they kind of give him an opportunity. He just, didn't really work out too well for the Jets, but he had some flashes. And then, again, when he got the opportunity, he looked really good for the Browns. He was a solid prospect out of Ole Miss not too long ago. I think this guy could be way better than people think right now. I mean, he's a safe option to put in the slot, and with his athletic ability, his speed, his separation skills, again, I think he can be very productive. The Browns very, very well could end up back with him. I could totally see that. But, man, he can really benefit from going to another team. I'm looking for teams that need a slot receiver. The Washington Commanders. I actually loved when Moore was coming out of college. I actually loved the fit with him in the Cardinals with Cliff Kingsbury's offense. And obviously that didn't happen, but I still love the fit. Kingsbury is now with the Commanders. They need a slot receiver. I think it makes some sense. So the Broncos definitely need a slot receiver. I think he'd be perfect in that offense with Bo Nix. Pittsburgh Steelers could definitely use a slot receiver. Tennessee Titans need one as well. And the Houston Texans, I know Tank Dell plays pretty well in the slot. Second injury in 2 years. That last one was late in the year. It was a gruesome one. I don't know when he's going to be ready to go. I don't know what we can expect. It's a complete shame because he was an absolute ball player, way better than anyone expected. But they're going to need someone like this. Maybe they don't want to spend too big at receiver. Maybe they will. But maybe they don't want to spend too big because they do have Dell coming back at some point. They have Nico Collins who they just paid. So we'll see what happens. This could be a possible option for him. But I do think why I think people are sleeping on him, maybe he hasn't been super consistent. I think it's kind of been the situations he's been in, but also he is strictly a slot receiver. You're not going to put him out wide. So maybe he's not going to be used 90%, even 80% of the snaps. Definitely in the 70s, though, with the right system. When he gets the ball, man, he looks good. I was saying it last year, too. So I definitely think he's a good sleeper to watch. And yes, I threw Daniel Jones in this video. I know a lot of people are down on Daniel Jones. It's understandable. He sucked with the Giants most recently. A couple years ago, before he got that contract, he was really solid. Would I have given that contract? Hell no. I hated that at the time. Never been a huge Daniel Jones guy. And he very well could suck, like the way he's been playing with the Giants. But, man, the way I look at it, he had some bright moments a couple years ago. The Giants fans are probably sick of me here, sick of me saying this stuff, but Giants have been a dysfunctional situation. It feels like players are playing their worst version of football for them, and even players that played well for them, they're going elsewhere and they're playing they're on another planet right now. And Daniel Jones has only been on the Giants so far. So especially at that quarterback position. Like Drew Lock won a primetime game against the Eagles last year for Seattle. Looked really good, actually. One game, big deal. But then he goes to the Giants, and he looks like he's incapable of playing the position. So that's just one of many examples. So maybe with the right system, he's got the body, he's got the physicality, he can run. He underthrows some passes. Obviously, that's a issue, but had his moments a couple years ago. So he's not going to be great. I'm not saying there's some secret talent in there somewhere. I think he's very, very, very capable of being better. You would hope so. Better than how he was recently on the Giants. I'm just going to believe in that. I'd watch for the Vikings to bring him back. My only thing is they brought him in for somewhat of a reason. I know they didn't plan on starting him in the playoff game or anything like that, but you would think if they liked him by that point, I know he wasn't in there for a long time, maybe he would be more than the emergency quarterback. He'd actually be the second string, but he wasn't that. But maybe they were just in no rush to do anything with him. I'd watch for the Browns. I'm mainly watching for Vikings or Browns, but I could see the Saints. The Saints are going to run first. Just feels like a guy that can definitely fit Kellen Moore's offense. He's not going to be overly expensive because they won't be able to spend big. So the Saints probably my third pick. I could see him in Arthur Smith's scheme. I just think the Steelers, in their minds, have bigger plans. I think they would even rather bring Russell Wilson or Justin Fields back. I honestly like Daniel. Russell Wilson's done right now at this point. I mean, can he still play? Yeah, but you're not going to get anywhere. Justin Fields is very athletic. You want to like him, but he's just going to continue to have the same slow processing speed and dropping his eyes. Those are things you just can't fix if they're not fixed right now. But he still has flashes, and he can win you some football games. Like Daniel Jones has flash moments of actually being a quarterback. Not a great one. No one's saying that. So I can see the fit. They probably won't go for him. And the Colts are supposed to look for another guy to pair with Anthony Richardson in case he is injured or just not looking the part. Could see Daniel Jones fitting Steichen's offense as well. But Vikings-Browns, I think, will kind of go after him, though. But I think the Browns are kind of like Kirk Cousins, maybe, and then Daniel Jones. A lot of Vikings connection here, but guess what? Kevin Stefanski, Vikings connection. So makes some sense there. But I could see the Saints as well. But I think I'm not trying to say Daniel Jones could be great. I'm not saying he's way better than people think. I just think the Giants situation is pretty tough right now, and guys are not playing great football there, and they're playing a lot better elsewhere. Right system, right scheme, right talent around him could help your team out a little bit if you need a quarterback. So I do think he's being slept on a little bit, not that I think he's great. So that wraps it up for this one. This is the third video of this I've done. I've done expensive free agents and kind of the best free agents no one's talking about. Same like idea here, like how it looks. These are skyrocketing some of my favorite videos. I'm going to do another one, kind of guys that could be cheap steals in free agency. Recommendations for more of these types in the comments. Of course, we got lots of videos coming up though. Combine's coming up. Gonna update some mock drafts, draft stuff, trades, free agency. Eventually we'll get to the free agency rankings and then free agency predictions and then grades for free agency as it's all happening. Those are some of my favorite videos as well. And then we're full go on the draft content right after that. Really, I love this time of the year. Really excited about this. Appreciate you guys' support. Please like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you enjoy the content. That would be, again, much appreciated. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.